I'd like to welcome everybody to our Interlude Summer Music Festival. Winds5 is doing a workshop, obviously, and performing tonight. And they're going to work on arranging for chamber ensembles, which is very cool. I want to mention that we are in part sponsored by Associated Chamber Music Players, who provided a grant for our workshops, so very grateful to them. And I will turn this over to Barbee and Madsen.
All right, thank you guys for coming. Yeah, we'll just kind of get right into it here. I hope everybody that wanted a part either is next to somebody that has a part or has one. That is an interesting sound. Okay, wait a second. There we go. No, I think that one's just on my thing. Okay, so I'm going to kind of talk about arranging mostly for winds, but I'll talk a little general principles as well. When you're going and starting to arrange, big things are, I think there's some pre-work that makes the process go much, much smoother. And so if you are holding a part in your hands, one of the things that is handy is to go and number your measures immediately, right? That's like super, super important. The one that we're going off of, you notice like we have a piano part, it does not have any like rehearsal numbers in it. So I am a big proponent of deciding on where your rehearsal numbers are going to be, and it just makes your project management a much easier thing straight away. If I'm transcribing something and then arranging it, I have an additional step to this process, which is to put things into my digital audio workstation. I happen to use Reaper, but there's Logic, Pro Tools, a whole bunch of other programs that you could potentially use to get your part into, and then just start marking things within that. It's really helpful. Okay, that is going. Okay. There's also, if I'm going to transcribe, there's a couple of plugins that I really find helpful if I'm transcribing. One of them is a mid-side processor. So a mid-side processor lets you do things like mute the things that are in the middle. So for example, if you have something that has vocal parts and a lot of drum stuff might be right down the middle where it's like playing back both sides equally. And a mid-side processor lets you either isolate it or just completely ignore it. And it just gives you less things to have to listen to at the same time if you're transcribing. So that's great. Next thing here, we set up our project in our notation software. You have your instrumentation. I'm a huge proponent of having a piano part added to your arrangement as like a sketch pad, so it makes it so you can copy and paste things super quick. If you want to go and say like, okay, I'm going to try this on the oboe, and I don't know if that voicing is working, let me go ahead and pop it over to the flute part instead. It lets you very, very quickly be able to just move things around completely non-destructively, and you'll see me doing that a bunch. And yeah, it lets you do a lot of really quick iterations. So today we're looking at winds and why we would write for winds, right? I really think about this a little bit in terms of like how many ways are you getting sounds, right? So like if you look at string players, for instance, strings are fantastic at getting this big homogeneous sound between them. There's really two different ways that strings are going to make sound. Either you've got arco or pizzicato, and I'm completely ignoring a whole bunch of extended techniques on every single instrument, so this is an incomplete answer on this. But so yeah, you have two means of tone production. Within a wind quintet, we have 4 ways of making our sounds just fundamentally. We have 2 double reed instruments, a single reed instrument, a side blown instrument that's the flute, and then a brass instrument in the French horn where it's buzzed at the lips. And again, we're ignoring an entire set of things on this, like, okay, well, there's also like muted and unmuted or stopped on the horn, and like a wider range of extended techniques and things that we can also get on our ensemble to like even give us more options. But just on a fundamental level, we have a ton of stuff that we can do that provides a wider range of colors even within like this small ensemble. If I was thinking in terms of like full orchestration, I'm going to look at like a full orchestra and say like, you have your string section that's this big homogeneous sound, you have your brass section that's this big homogeneous sound, and you have your woodwinds that are this completely non-homogeneous sound, right? And like, I think the best piece of advice that I think I've ever heard, that's just the dumbest piece of advice, and it's so good, is that on an orchestra you just write for the strings, and then you make it punchy with the brass, and then anything that's wrong in your balance you just fix that with the woodwinds. And the follow-up to that was, you always question, are the woodwinds going to be able to do this thing? And they always can, right? With the caveat of, we have a really unfortunate limitation, which is we have to be able to breathe. So, you know, you do have to like create some space. So winds are really good at doing basically whatever within like a small amount of space to medium amount of space. All right. And then, so like on the instrumentation, I have this note here about understand who you're writing for. On my own arranging, I kind of do a couple of different things. So one, I might go and arrange with this idea of, yeah, I want like high schoolers to be able to go and do this one, and I'll write it in a different way than if I'm having these fine people go and do stuff. So I will happily write things for myself and for us that make me question if I hate us, right? I think that's about, we've all felt that at some point, right? Yeah, where it's just like, ooh, this would be a really fun thing to do. That's really mean. We'll do the work on it, it'll be fine. And hopefully, you know, you stick around for the concert tonight and get to hear some of that. And it's really fun. And a lot of work, but a lot of fun. But you know, so you do need to kind of be aware of like what are the limitations of who it is that you're going to be writing for. I also have in here the ranges of instruments are very important. So I would say to a greater degree than say string players, our instruments behave very differently in different ranges. Can I have you guys B flat major chord, take your lowest note, and let's hear a piano on it. Lowest note within B flat major chord. And then forte. Great. Okay, so there's some things that happen on that. Like one thing I'd like to kind of point out is the flute gets drowned out really easily when it's in its bottom register versus like horn and bassoon get very robust in there. How about like a very comfortable B flat major chord, mezzo forte. And pop the flute up an octave. Pop the flute up an octave. And now we're generally higher voicing in the lower reeds and leave the horn where it is. There we go, right? And so we can kind of hear, without even necessarily trying to change the dynamic of what's happening, that the color of it changes really easily, the balance of it changes really easily within our ensemble. And we are back into this. Great. Okay. I'm going to just kind of skip forward a little bit here. So, if I was going to think about a full orchestra, we have these ensembles within ensembles that we're working with, right? So I already mentioned strings, brass. What we're on with this is kind of what we would call the harmony ensemble, right? Which is, like, you look back at the late Haydn wind section of an orchestra, right? It's going to be 2 flutes, 2 oboes, 2 clarinets, 2 bassoons, 4 French horns, right? And then you just take the principal player from each of those sections and go, okay, this is the principles of all of the wind sections. So it's a kind of a stock ensemble in the way that's been written for a ton. You know, even with how we're laid out in the orchestra, we're always put right next to each other, and like we're expected to be blending together and everything. Trumpets, trombones are later additions. If you get into saxophones and stuff, that's also, again, later additions than even that. So that's, you gotta go kind of past Beethoven for that. But like a harmony ensemble has been playing together for hundreds of years at this point. And it's really, really nice. And then even within this grouping, we have some combinations of instruments that are classically paired together. So like clarinet and horn, really the only 2 people in the orchestra that play without vibrato. And it makes a nice kind of pairing. You just go and do like a B5 major scale together, 1 octave up and down. Pick your octave. That's totally unplanned. They don't totally sound lovely. Okay. There we go. Similar thing, you know, oboe and bassoon. My oboe's way over there. You'll get to hear it in a little bit anyway. So like it's like double reed sounds together. Flute and oboe together are really frequently done as the upper reeds with vibrato sound. And you know, you get a lot of stuff too then, and again, if you go into a full orchestra, it would be a pretty common thing to be like, oh yeah, we'll have the flute and the oboe adding color to the violin sound, right? Because again, the strings are that homogeneous sound and we are the color instruments within that. So, common stuff that gets done here. There's some just general stuff about the range of the instruments. You notice on the high notes, I really put ish on a lot of those. So we have pretty hard limits on the low notes. And the horn, I have a low range, again, is with an ish, because not everybody's going to be playing a double horn and everything like that. But otherwise, on the woodwinds, the low note is like a set range, right? Horn gets a really unique thing, which is horn players usually specialize in either playing high or playing low. In a wind quintet, there's only 1 horn player. They do not get that luxury, so we get to torture the horn in a wind quintet. It is fantastic. Right, and every one of the instruments, I have a couple of notes here about like some of the general characteristics, right? So like flute tends to be weaker in the bottom register and like cut through a lot more when it goes into its top register. Oboe is the opposite in the bottom register, so like if you're writing for oboe and flute and you think, I'm going to end this last chord with the oboe on its low B flat, its lowest note, very, very quietly, and then the flute will be on the D just above that, very, very quietly. The oboe is going to drown out the flute, right? You flip those around, the oboe gets a little easier job, the flute's going to be quiet on that anyway. So there's some things like that that you can kind of be aware of, like what does this instrument do when I'm in this range? You know, versus like low notes on a clarinet, you have full facility and you don't have to worry about that. You go into the top register, suddenly it's kind of hard to play really quiet. Just a little tough, yeah. You know, And then as we're going and arranging stuff, there's going to be some things that we have to decide on for, I'm going to think of it as like translating a part, right? So as we go and get into this debussy here, I'm not necessarily going to be thinking about, I need this to be exactly note for note. In fact, human hands on a piano have more fingers than we have players, so we may have to drop some notes. There may be some octaves that we jump up and down in order to make it work, you know, and then we'll have like possibly some doubling of passages where we might have more than one person going and playing the same set of notes, usually for like just a period of time. And all these like articulations, dynamics, all of that kind of stuff. So there we go. Who wants to dig into some music? Okay, good. I can close that. So if you've ever watched a cooking show where they like put the pie into the oven ahead of time, I'm kind of doing that here. Let's see if this comes up. Is this going to come up on the projection? Okay. I'm going to try this again. So I'm going to be using MuseScore just because you know, there's a bunch of different notation softwares you could use, like tons of different notation softwares you can use. Honestly, they all do the same thing. So whichever one you're comfortable with, I picked one that is the most accessible in that it is free. And okay, I'm going to also pop this over into continuous view. This is going to make things easier to look at. And we should just go ahead and add some instruments to this. So we can just go ahead. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
I'm just going to try to talk here. All right, let's go ahead and pop. Let's just go ahead and do that. One, that. Okay, so now we have some stuff. We are in business here, so we're looking at concert pitch is generally speaking very helpful. I'm looking at, I kind of slopped out a copy of Clair de Lune onto this piano part over here. It's not the prettiest thing to look at, but it more or less gets the job done. I also pre-did a little bit of putting in some rehearsal markers where I think I'm going to end up wanting them. So when we get over here, that's going to be very, very helpful. Could I borrow you guys like in the front, at least one or two people in the front row, because I'm going to be just taking some suggestions of where to do things here. We'll get up with the instruments in a minute. All right. So this is originally a piano piece. Piano behaves really differently from woodwinds, right, or from wind instruments. One thing that we have on there that is very important in this is a pedal. We do not have pedals on stage. So if I'm kind of thinking about what would I do on this, straight away, I would probably be thinking about something along the lines of starting this, where I'm going to do something like that, and then like you see this kind of goes boom and then bumps up. So we could probably just take like this. So we have like a sustain in the clarinet, and then in the oboe we just duplicate that. There we go. Hit the correct button there. Ooh. I said I hit the correct button, but I'm apparently not. So I could probably do something like there, and then look at that. We have a flute part. We're just going to go ahead and, let's just go ahead and say that the flute is doing something like that. You know, if I was at home, I might also like be entering stuff in on a keyboard. I just kind of brought a very minimal setup with me today. And these, instead of dotted halves, should be dotted quarters. Okay, and then So like just immediately we're starting out with this, and this is a little cumbersome right now, right? Because I'm not copying and pasting, but like we can just go ahead and why would I even have that be not muted? I'm just going to mute the piano. There we go. So this is purely a sketch pad at this point. But like this starting point, we get something like, okay, that's great, unless we can add a little bit of dynamics to this. There we go. Yeah, okay. That sort of makes sense so far how we would do this. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste some of this stuff in here, and we might as well have that in all three parts for right now. And that's going to make sense in just a second why I left that there. So some decisions have to be made about like what part is going to be playing what. If I'm looking at everything that's up here in the right hand, that pretty much has to go either flute, oboe, or clarinet, right? So, and then all the stuff that's in the left hand could pretty much end up in bassoon, horn, or clarinet. So I just get to make decisions based off of that. Clarinet gets to be kind of the wild card there of like I have a choice to make of if they're going to be doing the held notes or if they're going to be doing these upper things. Brian, which would you rather do?
Oh, I really like the long tones.
You really like the long tones?
Long, boring notes. No.
You want the boring notes?
Yeah, sure. I think that makes sense here. It'll blend with everything as you're writing it.
Yeah, and like, okay, so we have this really delicate opening on this. I might say that I'm going to save the horn for like a couple minutes from now, so that it can start adding its color a little bit later on. To me, that makes a lot of sense. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. And then, if I want, I can just go ahead and start taking this is loud. But that's a really easy way to just start, getting that stuff on the page, and then I can go back and do the same thing in the upper part on the bassoon.
Now, clarinet and bassoon will blend really nicely right here.
Yeah, clarinet and bassoon together on this. Actually, bassoon in this upper register where I've got you, it's going to make this kind of very like, just a little throaty kind of sound. It's really nice. It's going to be really lovely like that. So, and then that means that all of this flute, oboe stuff, I'm just going to go ahead and like do this there. And if we kind of look at what's happening here, I know I'm going to run into an issue over in this spot right here where I'm going to run out of range on both the flute and the oboe. So I have to move that up to either, reasonably speaking, horn or clarinet. I can do some interesting things with color on this where I have one color meld into another by having a little bit of doubling to overlap it. It would be kind of a nice thing to do, but like for the sake of argument, we are going to have this is going to be a very bland thing. This is going to be the not very creative version of this for a second. I would say I'm a proponent of you should get creative with it, like feel like you're being really creative with it 5 to 10% of the time, right? And so probably 90% of the time you want to be really kind of in the box with the decisions that you're making, and kind of very similar to what anyone else would make, and then that extra little bit of stuff is what's going to make it special. I like the comparison to like making a steak, right? And that you're like, okay, I'm going to put some pepper on the steak. but you don't want to eat a pile of pepper with like a little bit of steak. You really want that to be there as more of a, the accent to it. So I can get rid of a bunch of things here. Oh, that sounds so good. Yeah, just get rid of all of those. Oh, look at this, and I still I have like a part 2. I'll go in back and get rid of that later. This does get into something that I think is important to note here, is that like what we're dealing with on the software is primarily just like a tool for I don't know, like this isn't your final product, right? This is a tool for going and having your ideas out there and like and so that you can put them in front of other people. Anyway, so this is where we're going to run into a problem. And so that's not a real note on the oboe. So the decision we get to make here,
How do you know it's not a real note?
How do I know that's not? I have a hunch.
Is it because it's red?
It's red on here. You don't always trust when something says that it's red, though, right? Like on the low notes on the winds, trust when it's in red. The exception on that is I can write Lauren a low B on the flute if I really want to. It's not necessarily a good idea to be putting the flute on a low B unless the context is something where you're like, oh yeah, I want this like, well, play your low B. Your favorite note. Right? Sounds lovely.
I love it.
It's a wonderful sound. It's not appropriate in most of the places you could put a flute note though. So, we don't have to go and do that. We don't have to torture our flute player. Actually does that. That actually doesn't. Yeah, everyone loves MIDI sounds. Okay, so yeah, we have all of that stuff. I'm clicking on the wrong button. And not real flute notes right there. Okay, perfect. Incidentally, that like low B flute sound that we got is probably going to be useful somewhere in here because we like this sort of like, it's color more than it's sound on that note, right? So we need to make a decision of where we are going to have the oboe stop playing. Who should take over this oboe part? Any suggestions? Anybody? I will take suggestions on this. Who should take over the oboe part? There's 2 options. French horn can take that over. Perfect. I like that. So we can do something like this and give that to the horn as well. And then we have the oboe back out here. This might be actually kind of nice, where the oboe tapers out and then the horn gradually takes over. And we need to put that opening pianissimo. Okay, who here has used Muse Score? Who here has used the French horn sound on Muse Score? Who here has noticed the intense problem with the dynamics that Muse Score has going between? Yeah, okay. The French horn does this wonderful thing that you have to just tune out that it's happening. It's kind of okay when it's doing its soft dynamics, and then when it goes into mezzo forte, it jumps up to match what everyone else's forte is. And then, so like forte and fortissimo make the French horn sound like it's going to absolutely overplay everything in the world. You have to trust your players. Your players are better than Muse score. I need everyone to say that with me. Your players are better than Muse score. Thank you. That's good. Okay, so let's if we just kind of take a quick look at what this is so far. I don't hate it. What are we thinking so far? Is that okay so far? We're going to have real people play this in just a second, and it's going to be really awkward. We're probably going to be going and like just snapping a photo of our parts.
I think we could, if the four of them sit there, I could sit here.
Yeah, we could work with that. Yeah, I'm gonna get like just a little further onto this before we go. And what did I say? Horns right now, so horns taking over this part, and oboe gets to bow out. You know what I really like the oboe doing here? I like the oboe reinforcing the flute. I think that would be kind of nice because that's getting a little low on the flute, and this is going to get a little bit lost. Just so everyone knows, like when we get to right here, right, flute is getting into a really weak range, and the oboe is getting into a very robust range. So you'll actually kind of get to hear this thing happen that I think we can have be kind of cool, where the oboe is going to gradually come out of the flute texture, right? And that will happen whether or not you write a dynamic indicating that you want that to happen. We have no choice in the matter. It's just how the instrument works. Okay, so it's our first time playing this. Bear with us. This might take a second try or something, but
We're gonna get it first try.
this is our.
Wait, can we? So sorry.
You don't like the wiggliness of the?
No, I was just gonna ask if we could switch it to not concert pitch.
Oh, yeah. That's why I brought you guys here. Ooh. I'm going to see if I can do this without a bone dry oboe reed. Okay. We're doing a 30-second warm-up. That's close enough. Okay. All right.
I just want to point out two things that are just going to really annoy everybody that you arrange this for. Is the key signature of 5 flats is fine, we're professionals, we can do it, but they might complain about it. And the other thing that makes this piece a little awkward is there's no downbeat.
Oh yeah,
and so it's really difficult to get a sense of the pulse of time because of that reason.
Yeah. Was anyone at yesterday's workshop? Great. I think they talked about like staying together as an ensemble or something and like playing as an ensemble. We should have gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be better later.
This is like prototyping, like we're just like making sure it's going to work. Okay, here we are, right at this measure right here.
Okay.
everyone kind of hear that oboe emerge from the flute line, right? So that's kind of a nice thing. I think that works really well in WC. WC is already all about color, right? So I think that's a good thing. Oh, I didn't mention this. Anybody that's interested in getting a copy of like what we come up with, just give us your email. We'll email out copies of like the parts that we're making. We will actually finish this not during the workshop, so you will get actually the complete piece, not just like what we're going to get done today.
More than 6 measures.
I know, right? Yeah, we're already 6
What a good
measures
deal.
in. This is great.
Can I see
Yeah.
the bottom at the beginning?
Oh yeah, we lost a part
Yeah,
there.
sure did.
Yeah.
I will say that it sounded like the flute was still being overpowered, like around measure.
Yeah, and I think I kind of right in here, right? Yeah. Yeah, and so like that shift of parts might need to happen a little bit earlier is very likely to be what ends up happening on this.
Because Anna's already doing that harmony with
Well,
the
I was going to
oboe.
say, even the harmony I'm playing, it maybe would make more sense down an octave. Then I
Oh
wouldn't feel
yeah,
quite so
yeah.
aggressive.
Do we want to just test these notes real quick
Yeah.
here? And there's just like probably there might be like an octave switch that works really well on the horn. Do we want to test that? I should set my oboe down over there. Okay. Just right on. Well, and then why don't I change this here? So I'm just going to go ahead and. So that's duplicated. Is that duplicated already? I need to look at concert pitch to know what's happening.
Yeah, we're playing the same thing.
Okay, so that is duplicated down there. What might even work better? Ooh, let's do this. I'm going to actually move that down here.
Yeah.
Actually, just gonna delete that one for a second. Oh, look at that. That's and this is where copying and pasting is really handy. Okay, and then let's say that I have, I'm going to change that to an eighth note, and then I'm just going to join the flute there. Something along those lines. Could we go just the measure before, just right on this one?
In concert pitch?
Oh, not in
Thank
concert.
you
not
so
concert.
much.
There we
I
go.
would have definitely put it the wrong way.
Measure 4.
I like your suggestion. Thank you. Cool. I'm keeping that. That's staying in there. I'm going to just jump over to another portion of this. So we're going to like leave the opening for a minute.
All right. In measure 1, I think we're missing something. Are we not?
Yeah, we absolutely are. We're missing this A flat.
Yeah.
It's not.
I mean, I can just put that in here. So like, let's say that that's going to be like
Nice.
there. All right, we got an A flat. I don't want to know what the MuseScore playback does. That's dumb. All right, let's look at this section here at B. B is going to be really lovely. So these right here are fun. So this is a perfect opportunity right
Woodward's
here.
gonna do anything.
Wait, Woodward's gonna do anything. David, I'm going to put you on the spot.
I love copy and paste.
Okay. That might not be so great, is what you're telling me, that we don't want to necessarily do it
Oh,
like
I
that?
can do it. Women's can do anything, right?
Anything. So this is a perfect opportunity to do something like this. And we're just going to like get rid of some notes there. And then we can get rid of some notes there. And then we can get rid of some notes there.
When pulled off well, this kind of thing creates more motion in the music because there's more texture shifting, which goes really well with the increased rhythm.
Yeah. If I pop that back into off of, oh no, we're in concert pitch anyway. It doesn't matter. All right, really quick, and I'm gonna put you guys on the spot. Could I have you two just try this a little bit, and there should be like just a little overlap, and then we make a decision if we like that overlap or if we need to add a little bit more or a little less.
No, try that again.
Oh yeah, five flaps.
Wait, wait.
That would take some work for us.
I think you want more overlap than that. I think we want more overlap than that. What do we think? We can just do that. We'll get an extra note into here, and then I think maybe. Oh no, we can't do that one. Man, I'm so glad that I swapped out a piano part. Okay, let's hear what this one.
I don't. Oh, let's.
Yeah.
Try it. Okay.
That's a little bit better. You were going to say I should add this part for the bassoon, weren't
That would work, but I think for simplicity and ease, when the clarinet comes in, having it come in kind of on the offbeat of the 16th note is a little bit awkward if it's this kind of texture. If it was like a main melody, that would be fine, but for this kind of textural thing and simplicity, it might be
probably
to do
there.
that.
I like the extra note, though. I think
Yeah.
that extra note needs to be there.
Yeah, for the handoff.
One more go for that handoff. Yeah, right? We got it? Did we get it?
Yeah.
Very flowing, right?
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Okay. So that's something that we get to kind of do just throughout this whole portion here. Look at that.
We've all done much worse to each other.
Oh, we are cruel to each other.
We really are.
It's a problem.
We like each other, we promise.
Oh, we do. It's yeah. We're not nice people, is what's happening. I really don't like having that stuff in there. I'm just gonna pop that back down into the one hand. This is just gonna be easier to look at. I only did it that way because it was like how it was written in the part.
Piano, yeah. Because the right hand plays it.
Yeah. And then here, this is a fun thing. Okay, actually, I got it. I have an idea for this. See if I'm crazy here. I might be crazy. I'm just going to do it in this one measure because what I'm going to do here is just change that to be okay. Cool. So there's this interesting thing that's happening where these are all just dotted quarters all the way through this. Again, I'm going to get rid of a bunch of stuff. The part's going to look super sloppy. Again, not a problem until it's a problem, right? But we know what that's going to do, and let's just go ahead and pop these up an octave for a second. Yeah, okay, that is in the wrong part. There we go. Yeah, I know, right? That one entirely. Okay, there we go. So this is exactly where I was talking about. You have to make some decisions about octave shifting. Because not everybody gets all of these notes all the time. And I think this is going to be really pretty like this. And why don't wow, man, you know what? This is going to be such a pretty part if we also just say and that's going to be, no, that doesn't work because I'm out in concert pitch. Let's try that again. There we go. This is the correct
The hardest part
one. This should also kind of blend things together a little bit more.
Give it some more weight.
Give it a little more weight, yeah. And then I am going to, so this is a conundrum right here, but what I really like on this one is if we just kind of just really apart.
Jim really doesn't want you to do this. Oh my goodness.
Let's
Wow.
publish it.
You know what? I'm just going to just delete this entire and build it from scratch. That's behaving real bad, but this is fine. So if I just go like G, and then what note was that? That's a D flat. But it's not that D flat. And then there, get something like that, and that covers these two notes here. And ooh, yeah, love that sound of the. Change that to an 8. Get rid of this one. Get rid of this one. Thank you. And so that's going to kind of aggregate to the thing that it's supposed to be. Yeah, that's great. I love that. What is the horn dynamic doing? That is. Oh, thank you. I mean, I brought up the horn dynamic problem in the score already. That was exactly it, right? So, don't trust the dynamic playback on this cursed program.
This cursed, beautiful free program.
Yes. A beautiful free program, like I am very thankful for. But, oh, yeah, that, like I said, it really is just prototyping. This is a prototyping software that we're doing these things in. Come on, really? I don't know how I know what I did. I just like hit the, yeah. This is why I don't do this on my laptop as often as well. Oh, really? Okay. Okay. There we go. And then let's go ahead and take that back out of concert pitch. Can we get, 5 minutes? Yeah. Anyway.
Well, let's play this. And then
Yeah, let's play this real quick, just this little passage, and if Lauren, if you want to just cover this bit right here on this, that measure.
Yeah.
It's just like a lot of problem solving to get this stuff out, right? All right.
We're in
We're
9/8.
yeah, we're in 9/8 still. Yeah, right. And like you can kind of hear how that works within the ensemble, as opposed to kind of the little bit of a mess that the program makes of it. And again, like as I'll say, your musicians are better than MuseScore, right? I'm going to open this up for some questions. Any questions, anyone? Yeah.
I guess I'm just wondering, like, how you develop your ear between, because I mean, I do a lot of arranging, but it's hard for me to envision when I listen to the MIDI what it would sound like in the orchestral context.
Yeah. Okay, this is like the least helpful answer I can give.
Perfect, thank you.
Which is I've played with these kinds of ensembles for a long time. Particularly, I've played a lot of stuff that is new music, right? So I've gotten to experience over and over again where somebody wrote like a super high A on the trumpet at a pianissimo and was like, well, the software sounded great on it. I don't see why this is a problem in here. And like, so you kind of have to go through that, and then keep writing stuff, keep having people perform it, make notes of when it comes out differently than what you had envisioned. Yeah.
Listen to composers that are exceptionally known for orchestrating listen to so much music and note what's great. Like listen to Ravel. Listen to Maurice Ravel all
Ravel's
the time.
orchestration
All of
is
his stuff.
magical.
And then just like take note of like if something catches your ear, make a mental note of what instrument combination was that.
I actually have something I want to add to that, which is IMSLP is a marvelous resource. So if you're going to go and listen to Ravel, do the score study with it, right? So you can go and listen to, one of these pieces, and if it's like public domain, you can just go on IMSLP and look at how the stuff is written and listen to it and kind of compare, does that match up with what I'm expecting, right?
And even easier than that, YouTube has tons of these of concerts, like real concerts with real orchestras, but they have the score in the video. So you don't even have to have two different things open. You can just go straight to
Pop some popcorn and go.
Yeah. Oh, I've done that so many times.
One thing on this topic that I've done is kind of challenge myself to see how far I can get an arrangement without actually listening to the playback. And just kind of throwing it in front of people and see if that matched what I thought would happen, or not.
Well,
or the opposite, exactly.
Especially there are times where we've written things for our instruments that aren't our instrument sounds, right? And you have to kind of envision what you think that's going to be. My biggest trick with that one is that when I write something where I'm like, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the French horn take off their mouthpiece and put it over the top of the horn and go over the top of it to get kind of a percussive sound.
True story.
This is a true story. This is something that is in an arrangement that I did.
Yeah, I heard that arrangement at soccer.
Right?
Oh, hey.
I wrote that not only not knowing for sure what it was going to sound like, I wrote that not caring. Right? So like there are some times where it's just like, I need an effect here, right? This is the pepper part of it, right? This is the like, don't make your arrangements all like this. If you try to make them all like this, they're unlistenable, right? But like you can have a little bit of this stuff where it's like it makes it really interesting, right?
And then if you know, like if you're arranging a part for an instrument and you know someone who plays that instrument, ask them. Ask them like, hey, I've got this idea. Do you think this would work? Mm-hmm. What can I do to make it work? Stuff like that.
Like if you I think we've done this a fair number of times, right? If you have a part where you're like, I wrote this out. I don't know if these altissimo Ds and E flats are going to work on the bassoon. You're welcome. I can send the part to the bassoon player that I know is going to be playing this and say like, okay, one, is this a manageable thing for, in general, a bassoon? Okay, maybe no. Is this a manageable thing for you? And then if the answer is, I guess, or like, then you make a decision about like, okay, well the answer was, I guess. Do I think this is cool enough the way that I did this in what is apparently an awkward way that it's going to be worth the payoff of putting my bassoonist through the ringer on it? Or should I just go and say, well, yeah, but I know that the oboe can play those notes just fine, and I can go and put them on the oboe. Incidentally, the answer for the specific piece I'm thinking of was, no, I'm going to make the bassoon do it.
And that's how we got Stravinsky's Rite of Spring opening. If you know Stravinsky's Rite of Spring, that very opening bassoon solo, at the time that was at the top of the range. It was at the top of the range, and he wanted to make the bassoonist uncomfortable and have that discomfort part of the music. But now it's like standard repertoire. And so like
that's hard to just do.
Back in 1911, that was
good. David, that was really good. I've heard worse in like professional performances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't ask me to play any more of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you all for coming.